happening with Ducks football, all the lovely things with this team this year. And it's a great time for our first show, Izzy, because there's no better time to be an Oregon football fan. It really is cloud nine right now. And I think we can talk about this, but I think the Rose Bowl may be the only moment right now where you feel better as a Ducks fan, both in the moment and looking forward to the future. But you can make an argument that right now, just with the rest of the season still ahead and all that could happen, the hopes are even higher.
No, yeah, definitely. And that'll be some topics for later today. But let's get into the very first topic. We haven't had a show due to some technical difficulties yet. So we're kind of bummed out about that. But hey, we're back on for this game. Better late than never. Game 3 right now. So let's just talk about it. How big was the win against Ohio State, Michael?
The win against Ohio State was huge, and I think it was huge because of the way people are talking about it. They're not talking about it as just one top 15 team beats another. They're talking about it in even bigger pictures about the way that the Pac-12 has pushed itself out there again on the national stage, the way that Ohio State, what sort of a reckoning it could be for their program or for the rest of their season. The fact that Ohio State now has an issue with welcoming non-conference opponents to Columbus, going back to Oklahoma in 2017. This is something that is a reoccurring problem for them. And it's strange because the Horseshoe and Columbus and Ohio State Stadium, it's got this great atmosphere to it. It's got this great formidable, aura around it that teams don't want to go play there. But Ohio State football hasn't had quite the home record and the home field advantage that you would think given their whole program and the amount of talent that they do have.
Yeah, and in this 35-28 win, some of Oregon's best players were on the field, such as Justin Flo and Kayvon Thibodeau. And come to find out after the game, Flo was out for the rest of the season with his foot injury. So not only do you look at it as a big win for Oregon, but you also look at it in a sense that Oregon got it done with arguably two of their definitely they have their first rounder, but Justin Flo is definitely up there in importance on that defense. And so you just talk about it. It's amazing that they got everything done. And then also you had DJ James, starting cornerback, coming back from suspension. So it was his first game back too. He wasn't able to get his feet wet in that Fresno State game. He came straight to Columbus in that hectic atmosphere, and he balled out. The whole entire team balled out. It was a great win for them. And honestly, if you really think about it, this could arguably be Oregon's biggest win in their football history. I mean, when you look at it now, they're the 4th ranked team in the country. They're projected. We were already talking about that. We're going to talk about next topic. They could be in the college football playoffs. So it would be the first time a Pac-12 team would be there in the past couple of years. So it would definitely shake up some things with this win.
Yeah, I think it's too early to talk about where this win is in the history of Oregon football because you kind of have to see the way it shapes the rest of the season and whether this team takes it and continues to win and win and win for the rest of the year or not. But what I loved, and Izzy, is just the way that the whole day played out with the morning news of both Kayvon and Flo are not going to be available. And I know you were, part of the reason you wish we had a show last week was because you were pretty high on Oregon and you thought they really did have a good chance. When you woke up and it was 9 a.m. and you're making your coffee to watch this game, what were your thoughts on hearing the Kayvon and Flo stuff? Did you still believe Oregon was going to shock the world here, or did that start to rattle?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely got rattled just a little, but that didn't waver my confidence in this Ducks team at all because of what I knew from Ohio State. Watching Ohio State against Minnesota, it was very telling for the Ducks. But what everyone was talking about was the Oregon-Fresno State game. The fact that Oregon, they barely beat this team right here, which Fresno State, give props to them. They're at the end of the year, they're going to be a very good team. Them and the San Jose State, they're going to be going at it in their conference right there. So don't sleep on the Bulldogs. And plus Oregon, the offense, yes, it was very one-dimensional, but it was like that for a reason. Why let the Buckeyes get film on you guys before you play them when he could beat Fresno with such a simple offense.
Yeah.
And back to Ohio State, CJ Stroud, he's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He's phenomenal, but he's just not that guy. Not yet. I mean, he's a freshman quarterback in this Buckeyes offense, and he has weapons around him. He has 2 first-rounders around him, the best receiver in the country around him. Yeah, he almost got 500 passing yards, but I mean, Michael, that was like the worst, like his first 2 games, that was like the worst 400 plus passing yard performance I've ever seen in my whole entire life. It's like, I was thinking to myself, if Justin Fields was playing on that day, he would have 1,000 passing yards, just like the way that he could have picked apart this Oregon defense. But back to Ohio State, they could not stop Minnesota's run game. And they were very lucky that Minnesota's running back got injured in the first half, because they were just running it down their throats the whole entire game. And so when you look at Oregon's offense, you think about Anthony Brown being the dual threat quarterback, and he got his yards, obviously. And then obviously CJ Verdell and Travis Dye, arguably the best running back duo in the country. And you saw what CJ did. He had a 70-plus yard run for a touchdown. He almost got hawked at the end right there, but hey, he still went in for the touchdown.
Yeah, and so my quick take on the CJ Stroud thing, I completely agree with you that it's about as bad as you can look for somebody that's throwing for 800 plus yards through 2 games. He just missed a lot of throws, and he looked like a freshman, which is fine. He can have a bad game. He still might have a bright future at Ohio State, but there's a difference there between Stroud and Fields that you wouldn't be able to see if you looked at the stats, but you would if you could watch the game and see the throws that they both were making. And what I want to talk about is this Oregon defense, because this is a huge theme of last year, and it feels like Oregon's defense, it reminds me a lot of your stereotypical college student trying to work on an assignment. If you look at every minute of the game, if you go through the whole process, it's ugly. There's yards, there's first downs, this defense gets picked apart, the ball is moving down the field. But if you come in right at the very end when it's crunch time in the last 5 minutes, you see something special happen, and you see an Oregon defense that is unbelievably clutch. I mean, they were clutch in the end, but also throughout the game on all those 4th down stops. Ohio State doesn't, lose this game. They take care of business if they just convert those 4th downs. If they don't throw that crucial interception that Oregon got in the 4th quarter, this is a game that Ohio State narrowly wins, if not for a massive clutch factor from an Oregon defense that otherwise had a really bad game. I mean, they got trampled for 500 plus yards.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, right now you're talking about bend, don't break. And that's what defensive coaches talk about to their teams all the time. You bend, but you don't break. And Coach DeRuiter from Cal, he brought this just brand new, just something else completely new to this Oregon defense, which they haven't been exposed to. And they welcomed it completely. You talk about Verone McKinley, Noah Sewell, and Kayvon Thibodeau, the 3 leaders on the defense. They wanted to do more because they know what they can do. And Coach DeRuiter, he came in, he's changing the culture on the defense. And yeah, sure, they made some of those bad mistakes and easy first downs, and you have those soft spots in the zone defense. But you talk about it, Verone McKinley, he had dreams leading up to the game about a game-winning pick. And guess what he did? He did exactly that, because he's been putting in the work the whole entire season. He has that bend, don't break mentality. If that pass was completed, it would have been for a first down. Who knows? Ohio State, they could have marched down the rest of the way to score a touchdown and take the win away from the Ducks. But Verone, he knew the work that he put in was going to translate into something in the game. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and before we move on to the next topic, I just want to throw out my 3 MVP stars of that game. And I guess maybe if you do want to stretch this one a little bit longer, we do need to talk about Anthony Brown as well. But what I'll say about this game is that the coaching staff impressed me tremendously. They were my number 1 MVP. It just felt like Moorhead, Cristobal, and DeRuiter got into a room and said, this is how we're going to beat Ohio State. And they executed that plan, and they just outcoached the other sideline. My next MVP is obviously CJ Verdell. It feels like CJ Verdell either has games like these, or he has games where he disappears in the second half and you find out it was some injury, like a stinger or something like that. But when he's fully healthy and when he gets the push from the offensive line, this guy just averages like 100 plus yards per game. And 3 touchdowns. And like, this is business as usual for him. He's terrifying. And then I got to give the shout out to the offensive line as well. Anytime you're going to have a good Oregon football team, it's going to be all built off of an offensive line that is just pushing people around. And that's what Oregon did. They faced an Ohio State defensive line that is really good, and they just pushed them around and they dominated them, and that was crucial. So that's who I want to give the stars out for this game. And I do want to talk about real quickly, I mean, where are we at with Anthony Brown in terms of him being the quarterback for this Oregon team? And I guess that segues into what this Oregon team can accomplish, what their ceiling is with Anthony Brown under the helm.
No, exactly. Yeah. Definitely. I can't forget about Anthony Brown. And I don't know, you mentioned it. We're saving him for this next topic right now of what is Oregon's ceiling. And for the past year and a half that we've been watching this Ducks team, they have the pieces everywhere. You look at the receiver position, the line, running backs, defensive line, linebackers, DBs. They have everything around tight ends. They have everything around them to have a great team, to have a team poised to represent the Pac-12 in the college football playoffs. But there's just that one position when Justin Herbert left that's been vacant, that quarterback position. And obviously Tyler Shuck, he was not the answer. I said that repeatedly last year. And we argued about this a lot last year too. And I repeatedly said I wanted to see Anthony Brown on the field. And once he did get on the field last season, it was during the Pac-12 championship. And look what happened. He won Oregon another Pac-12 championship. Now, you can talk about the Iowa State Bowl game, but the whole entire team was off that game. It wasn't just Brown. The whole team was off. It seemed like the COVID, everything just got to them. They couldn't compete at a high level they were doing in the season. So that's just a throwaway game right now. But I truly believe that Anthony Brown is the quarterback to lead the Oregon Ducks to the college football playoffs this season. And not only the college football playoffs, but the championship game, the national title.
Yeah, and Iowa State last year, you can say Oregon played, they obviously played a really bad game, but that's how good Iowa State was too last year. And that's how good Oregon was. I mean, you just came to the end of the season and you're like, obviously a great year for Oregon and what they accomplished, but that's how good they were compared to what a top 10 team in the country looks like. And when the thing that crossed my mind when Anthony Brown became the starting quarterback for this year was, has he gotten better? Are we going to see a different Anthony Brown? Like what we saw last year was fine, but it wasn't enough to say, like, give this man the starting job next year. That's the reason there was a whole quarterback controversy. So I was left wondering, did he improve? Are we going to see this flashy new Anthony Brown? And I don't think the answer to that question is yes, but I think he's gaining experience in this system. And every game that he plays and every snap that he takes as Oregon's quarterback, it's not so much that we're seeing skills from him that we've never seen before, but we're seeing the offense shape around him, and we're seeing him be a leader. And I think that's what Mario Cristobal went with. And he sees Anthony Brown as the leader of this team and somebody that can put the team on his shoulders with all the pressure. And, we haven't seen any of these other quarterback candidates, your Butterfields, your Ty Thompsons, the one from Alabama, Robbie Ashford. He's my favorite of the three. I would want to see him play.
I mean, you sound like every Oregon fan with Robbie Ashford after that Fresno State. After the first half, everyone was calling for Robbie Ashford, and I was like, hold it, wait a minute. Did you not see that throw that Brown threw to Johnny Johnson in the end zone? And then he proves it at the end of the game with that 30-yard touchdown on 4th and 2, no less.
Yeah.
So, talk about Robbie Ashford all you guys want. He will have his time. No disrespect to the other quarterbacks, but they will have their time.
It's right now the same stuff as the defense, where it's just this clutch factor and this leadership and this, it doesn't matter how pretty or how ugly it looks, they get it done. And I believe in Anthony Brown now as the guy that Mario wants. And in a lot of ways, it's like, if it was my decision, I might be like all the other Oregon fans, and I might say, oh, let's see these other quarterbacks. What could they do? But at the end of the day, Mario Cristobal, I think, deserves Oregon fans' loyalty to trust that he's making the right choice, right? I mean, you're criticizing a guy that just went and beat Ohio State and has created this whole program that has such a bright future. And so in a lot of ways, you just got to step back and say, like, this is who Mario Cristobal thinks is the right guy to lead this team. And he definitely is. And you saw the way that the players all rallied around him and said, y'all can, start praising him now because you were criticizing him last week. And all the players basically put him up on their shoulders and said, let's talk about how great Anthony Brown is now. He's going to be fun to watch. I'm no longer in the camp of saying, like, oh, let's see what the rest of them have to offer. Like, he's going to be fun to watch. And let's talk about what an Anthony Brown-led Oregon team can do this year.
Yeah, you talked about Rose Bowl. I'm talking about college football playoff appearance. Tell me, where's your ceiling for these Ducks right now?
Okay, so now with this win, because it changes the whole course of the season. If they go undefeated, they're obviously in the college football playoff. And if they slip up and lose a game here or there, but then continue to look really strong, then they could end up as the 4th seed in the college football playoff anyway, even as not an undefeated team, because of what they have on their resume now. That's what's held the Pac-12 back, is that because they don't have any big resume wins, that team out of the Pac-12 would just have to be undefeated. Otherwise, you got no chance. Now Oregon has Ohio State in their back pocket to say, kind of like equals forgiveness of a loss in a way, because you beat Ohio State. Whereas if they lost to Ohio State, then they would have to absolutely go undefeated the rest of the way. So I think this team could absolutely get into the college football playoff. But I think their ceiling is the same ceiling that they had in the Rose Bowl year 2 years ago now, which is losing by 20, 25, 30 points to whoever that number 1 seed is in the college football playoff. I think they're capable of getting there. I think they might deserve to get there, and they might become Pac-12 champions again. But if they do get to the college football playoff, I don't think it ends pretty for them. And I think Oregon fans might be sitting back hoping that instead of getting into the college football playoff, they just kind of find a way to end up as the number 5 ranked team in the country and getting to play in another beautiful Rose Bowl, which I don't remember exactly. I might have to look this up, whether the Rose Bowl is one of the semifinal games this year.
It's not. It's the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl this year.
Okay, cool. So, Oregon fans, maybe you just want the Rose Bowl this year again.
Yeah, Oregon fans, you don't listen to Michael. You guys don't want the Rose Bowl appearance at all. Yeah, sure, it'll be nice to get another Rose Bowl win, but that's not that national title. It's really not. It's not that top where you guys – because remember, everyone knows this. Everyone says the O represents how many national titles that Oregon has. Let's change that this year. This is the year to change that. And I've been hearing from the coaching staff and all that, the expectations since the offseason has been a national title. They've known this. They know what kind of team they have because obviously they've been with them every day. So they know what this team is capable of. So this Ohio State game, everyone was calling it an upset. Everyone was nervous for this game. This team was ready for it. They knew what they had to do. They went to Columbus, took care of business, and now they're off against Stony Brook next week. And then after that, they have Pac-12 play. And in the Pac-12, in the past years, Oregon has always dropped a game or two there to kind of hinder their chances of being that top 4 team in the country. But I truly believe this is – I said it last year. I was wrong. But this is the year that Oregon will go undefeated, go to the college football playoffs, go to the national title game, and they will play in that game. I'm telling you, they won't just be a 4th seed because you have UCLA on the schedule. That UCLA game, Oregon-UCLA game, is going to be the most highly viewed Pac-12 game this season only because that will basically be the Pac-12 championship game before the title game in December. Yeah. That game right there.
So let's talk, Izzy. I agree with you that this team should go undefeated now and that they are even better than 2019 and 2020. And this is like the next step. This is the evolution. This is the team that is going to make the college football playoff. But if they do drop a game, so if they're going to lose anywhere on the schedule, do you think it's going to be in that high-profile matchup, or do you think it's going to be like a sleeper against like an Oregon State or something where it's just a complete miserable Pac-12 after dark chaos kind of performance?
I'll leave that to you, Michael, because I'm telling you right now, I truly believe the Ducks are going undefeated. I'm not even going to say anything to that because I know they're going to go undefeated.
I think this team takes care of business in those UCLA games, in those Pac-12 championship environments when they have everything – when they have the attention on them, we just saw that if you put a lot of attention on them, they rise to the occasion. I think when they're fired up for a game, they're not going to lose. But I'm a little afraid of all those potential trap games that are on the schedule in the Pac-12. And the good news is they're not traveling to Arizona to play on the road, which has been a nightmare for Ducks fans for a few years now. So that leads me to be optimistic. And now we're going to actually preview this upcoming game. The Ducks will be sporting that new number 4 ranking, and Izzy, they're going to be on upset alert against the Stony Brook Seawolves.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, tell me, what do you think this game will look like? I mean, they're coming off a high win against the then third-ranked team in the country. Now they're number 9 right now. And you have Stony Brook, who everyone already had set for a dub right there. And people, after watching that game, was like, oh, I feel bad for Stony Brook coming into Autzen. I mean, tell me what you think about this matchup right here.
Yeah, let's start this by saying Stony Brook is not Fresno State. And that's something that a lot of people, if you're just glancing over a schedule or if you're not very in tune with college football, you might assume that. And I think a lot of people unfairly treated Fresno State like a Stony Brook kind of matchup where Oregon should win by 50 points or whatever. And it's like, no, Fresno State's really good. They played a really good game. They're going to have a lot of wins this year. Now, Stony Brook, on the other hand, is a game where what I want to see from this Oregon team, I think, is the defense to actually limit the amount of yards they get. There's going to be so many games for Oregon to bend, not break. I don't want to see Oregon's defense bend in this game. I would like to see one of those games where the defense just dominates in all 4 quarters. I think that's the most important thing for me to watch is, can this defense actually dominate Stony Brook all 4 quarters? Or is there going to be one of those situations where Stony Brook finds a way to score 20 points? And that's something we're talking about next week is, Stony Brook scored 20 points or 25 points or something like that. Should we be worried about that,
I'm not worried about the Stony Brook game at all. And that's no diss to Stony Brook. I mean, they are a college football team, D1, so they have my respect right there. But this is a game for Oregon to kind of test some new things. I mean, you had that Fresno State game where they wanted to keep their offense very limited, and that kind of hindered them in that second half right there where Fresno State had the lead for about 10 minutes or so. And then you have the Ohio State game where they basically throw everything. Now they haven't thrown everything. They have a lot more in their playbook. For sure, they're not going to just throw everything over there. Joe Moorhead knows better than that. And now you have the Stony Brook team where they're 1-1 right now. They're 9th in their conference. So right now you look at the receivers who haven't really been doing that much because you look at it, the run game has really been doing it for Oregon. So now we get to see how good Anthony Brown's arm really is. And I've been saying is I love Anthony Brown. He's a great dual quarterback, but they've been saying he's been running too much. And yes, I do agree with that, but he's been running because it was necessary. But now he gets to sit back and pick apart the Stony Brook defense. I would love to see that this game so he could not only show up the haters that last game by getting that win against Ohio State, but showing up the haters that he's just not a quarterback that can run. He can also hit those deep balls, hit the receivers in stride, and be a true quarterback.
Yep, and let's talk about the quarterback position some more because if Oregon has a big lead here, then it only makes sense for your second stringers to come in and your backups to come in. And the most important part of that is just to find out who Mario sees as the backup quarterback. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that is still an open question. Who is the next guy after Brown? So we might get to see who actually that is that Mario Cristobal has as his QB2 right now. And what I see happening is Robbie Ashford comes in a little bit in the 4th quarter, throws a touchdown pass, and then all everyone's going to want to talk about is not that he should replace Brown as the starter, but that's there as an option. That, it's going to be like this thing that just follows Oregon all season because Oregon fans are going to finally get a little glimpse of him. They're finally going to get a little taste, and they're going to be like, oh, he could be so great if he could play. It's going to be a weird situation because it's just going to be your second string coming in at the end of a game. But I think the media and Oregon fans might latch onto it a little bit too much if Robbie Ashford comes in and shows a little bit of a flash. And, again, it circles back to what I said earlier, that maybe these guys have more talent than Anthony Brown, but that's not everything. Being a quarterback requires you to be really intelligent, to be a leader, to have the experience, to be calm under pressure. And Anthony Brown might be better than those other guys in all those other departments, and maybe talent too. Who knows? Because we don't know. We don't get to see any of these other guys.
Yeah, and you talk about leadership in that Ohio State game. He showed he wasn't rattled in that kind of environment right there, and that's exactly what you want from your quarterback. You want someone who's poised, who can play and make the right plays, and that's exactly what Anthony Brown did. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh yeah, keep going, Michael.
I would say he's not bulletproof, because he's not bulletproof, but I think in Mario Cristobal's eyes, he's going to just be the guy. Like, I don't think Mario's, even if, and obviously he's not questioning it right now, he's on top of the world, but even if Oregon goes and drops a game, or if they barely win a game against a team like Stanford because Anthony Brown threw an interception or something, or fumbled the ball, like, even if the pressure starts to come in, to say, oh, maybe if we pulled, made a move here, but I think Mario isn't even fazed by this. I don't even think Mario's having to think about it at this point. He's just like, I just watched Anthony Brown beat Ohio State and not get rattled in this environment. That's my guy. I'm going with this guy all the way.
Now, Michael, who would you say, let's say second half or fourth quarter, Oregon puts in one of their quarterbacks lower in the depth chart? Who would you say goes in?
I would go with Robbie Ashford. That's why I brought him up earlier. He's the one that I'm most excited to see, and I don't have a lot of evidence to go off of other than the kind of guy he was in high school and the fact he's from Alabama, and a little part of me lives in Alabama as well. Like a Alabama fan on the side here. That's it. But one thing I will say is I'm not expecting to see Ty Thompson, because Butterfield and Ashford, they're redshirted a year. I mean, they had the COVID year, but they've been on the team longer, where Ty Thompson's a little bit fresher. I had a class with him in spring of last year, and I believe that was his first term here academically. I'm not expecting to see him. I think he's going to be a guy that, whether or not he stays an Oregon Duck for his whole career, I don't think we're going to see any of him this year, whereas Butterfield and Ashford, they're the real battle for QB2.
Yeah, I was going to say I would like to see Jay Butterfield on the field, only because I talked to him last year too. He seemed like an almost Justin Herbert replica, and if you talk about size, throwing capabilities, and just the overall structure of Justin Herbert as a quarterback. So I would like to see Butterfield go on, not only because he's from the Bay Area, no Bay Area bias, Michael, we know that, but I just like to see what he can do. And who knows? I mean, if you're up by enough, why not throw in both players? I mean, you really have nothing to lose if you're going to be up by a lot, which we expect Oregon to be against the Stony Brook team.
Before you wrap this, let's just clarify that if these guys do play at the end of the game, we're not going to see much. We're going to see them in a glorified practice situation, because it's going to be a 30-point lead in the fourth quarter of a game. Like, they're not even going to get to throw the ball much. They're just going to be handing off. We're going to see how good they are at handing the ball off. So it's not going to be that much. And I think people are going to get overexcited about whatever happens. That's my only prediction, really, for this Stony Brook game.
Yeah, and make sure if you guys have any Oregon football questions or hot takes or anything like that, tweet at Dash Sports, tweet at me or Michael. We're more than happy to debate you guys or to agree with your comments and whatnot. I'll be at the Stony Brook game tomorrow, so I'll be sending some tweets out and giving my opinions and whatnot. And Michael, he's always tweeting about Oregon athletics, so make sure to keep up with our social medias. And thank you for joining us today at Dash Sports. Make sure to follow us at Dash Sports TV on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. And check out our website at dashsports.tv. And make sure we catch our weekly shows at Fridays at 5 p.m. It's good to be back, Michael. Can't wait to debate with you more.